Good evening, everyone. And wow, why is there's too much sound here? Oh, I see. There's either never enough sound or now there's too much sound on Axanar Confidential. But for once, in like the first time in like 6 weeks, I left my mic on so everyone can actually hear us. So, how is everyone doing? It's good to see. Tonight, I have with me two great people who we just worked with at Aries Studios together, Josh and Victoria from the Avalon universe, who also co-directed Interlude, the Axanar fan film. So if I don't know who's watching here who doesn't know what Interlude is at this point. So everyone should know it is the fan film that exists in the Axanar universe. So I think that is probably a first in cinema history. There's a fan film of a fan film. Of course, unless there were any fan films of, The Force Awakens, which was a fan film in and of itself. So Josh, Victoria, how are you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good.
Doing well, Alex.
Good. Now, where are you guys located right now?
We are in a super secret basement location somewhere in Northwest Arkansas.
In Little Rock? What did you say? We're in Arkansas?
In Northwest Arkansas.
Northwest Arkansas. By the way, there's a great comic book shop in LA on Sunset called Secret Hideaway. I think it's Secret Highway. Yeah. So I love the idea of a fortress of solitude for filmmaking because that's
You're not the first person to refer to it as that. Like Tyler Donovan has actually called it that before. It's one of my pastimes to just sort of lock myself in my filmmaking dungeon and spend days upon days editing. And my dad's called me a vampire before. He's called me Count Dracula because I'll just disappear. It doesn't matter if it's day or night. I'll work until 4 in the morning editing. And at the end of it, 6 months later, there's a film. So.
Well, good. That's the way it has to be. You need your time. You need time to do it. Is that a new Yeti mic you've got there?
Yes, it actually is. It's brand new.
Just today.
I do a lot of for the company that I work for my day job, supplier community. I do a lot of webinars where we talk about how to sell stuff to people on Amazon.com and how to get your products into Walmart. We're a gathering place and a resource center for supplier teams.
Shameless plug.
Good. Let's check in with our people tonight. Let's see. We got over 40 tonight. Not bad for Black Friday. Val, Trey, Adega Outlaw is here. Adega, hope you are doing well. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. Doug Grady, Dave G. Sound, of course, who's always here. There's Paul Stern von Ulk, which is actually the name of his dog. So I named the dog Stern von Ulk. So Paul, who is our senior parkings consultant, Paul's a great guy. And last week, let's just bust it wide open. Paul was the guy that put us over 40,000 last Friday night. So thank you so much, Paul, for that. We really appreciate it. As everyone knows, we're raising money for the next 2 episodes of Axanar. And Paul was the one who helped us get past that milestone. Fred Hensley, what is up? Old Code is here. Lee Sully, our trivia god, is here. Let's see, Trey McElwain, as always, from Axanar Comics. We all love Trey. Silver Bullet, how are you doing, Stephen Shuey? A few that I don't know, a few new ones.
I feel bad that I didn't get time to actually talk to Stephen during the Interlude shoot because he was there. It was like every time I walked past the guy, he was saying something like really, really interesting. And I was always so busy that I didn't get the chance to stop and talk to him. So, Stephen, if I see you again, we're going to have to hang out because...
Yeah, and then after the shoot, I said, oh, did you not talk to Stephen? You really should have talked to Stephen. He had a lot of stuff you would have loved to hear.
Oh, well, so, Stephen, you've got fans here. I hope everyone had a good Black Friday. I don't know. Did you guys go shopping today?
I did not. I did a little online shopping, but the idea of going out and fighting the crowds is like just not
no interest, right? Yeah.
I wore a black sweater. I don't know if that
That
counts.
doesn't count. No, that doesn't count. We went out, Crystal and I went out, and we took one of our puppies with us, and we went out, and we got smoothies and went to PetSmart, and, you know, just a little quick stuff. We went to the bank, and then Kohl's was right next to the bank. I was like, well, let's go to Kohl's because I need some new underwear, and they got this great Adidas underwear that I like. So I was like, it ain't exactly glorious Black Friday shopping, but we spent $160, so, you know.
A lot of underwear.
Not all on underwear. Of course, you can't let Crystal go. I'm sure she's like you, Victor. Crystal goes into Marshall's. I'm like, what do you need? She goes, nothing. And she comes out with like $200 worth of stuff. You know, because, but I saved $200. No, but you spent $200. It does, you know, I know. All right, so let's talk about, and by the way, everyone, Black Friday sale at the Aries Studio store. So hopefully all of you have stopped by. There were some good deals there. I put some really good deals in the store, and I don't know, we got a bunch of orders. Tomorrow I'll be shipping everything. But we just got, here we go, folks. This came in today. Can you see? There we go. Garth, that's a House of Karn patch right there. Let me open this up. We'll do a little unboxing. So this is our newest patch. And there you go. How's that look? There. Whoops.
Impressive.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. The colors are great. So anyway, that is the new, but that will be shipping. A bunch of people ordered that patch. And I put a bunch of new stuff in the store, and I'm going to be putting pieces of the USS Aries bridge, panels that we've removed and replaced. I'm putting that in the Aries Studio store tomorrow. So everyone go check out it. There'll be an email going out about that. So let's just see what everyone says. Alea Oregon Steel says, I just went to work. Let others experience the hand-to-hand combat that is Black Friday. Yeah, I know, exactly, right?
People get killed on Black Friday.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
To death. It's happened.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Shopping isn't that important, right? Nothing's that important that I'm going to argue with someone over a fucking sweater.
If you have a Prime account, you just get 2 days shipping.
There you go. Yeah, someone was just saying, I was shopping on Amazon and eBay. Good move. Yeah, right? Good move. All right, so let's talk about Avalon Universe. What's new? You just released what?
Well, we just released our third film, two-parter, Demons, Part 1 and Part 2. And we actually released that on the anniversary of our very first film, Ghost Ship. So that was kind of a nice full year circle to come back around from where we were new people that nobody had ever heard of. We hadn't done anything yet, and we didn't say anything, and we just put out a movie. And then it was a lot of pressure of, oh, what's next? What's next? What's next? When's the next one going to be? What are you doing now? What are you doing now? And so here we are a year later. We put out another 15-minute film, Avalon Lost. And now we've put out first and second part of Demons. And coming up soon, we have a little bit of a surprise bonus film. We had some things that we really, really wanted to fit into Demons that we just really couldn't get in there, with the time limitations. So we kind of ported some of the things that we had promised our backers on Demons into a bonus film that we're going to make for them. And we're going to have that out #soon.
It may or may not be another date with some significance. So the interesting thing to me about Demons that I want to point out is that Victoria was the director for that. And it was a really fun journey getting to that point. She actually sort of used Avalon Lost sort of as her audition to be a director, because there were some really crazy things that I wanted to do from a visual storytelling standpoint that were really involved. And when you try to make a film by yourself, I mean, it's something that it can be done, but that doesn't mean that's the way it should be done. And so Victoria, even as far back as Ghost Ship, even though she was just an actress on that project, really stepped up and helped me when she saw that I was just juggling a lot of things. Then when we did Avalon Lost, there were some visual storytelling things I really wanted to concentrate on. So she stepped up in the acting department, and she was doing things that I didn't even know about at the time. Like she was not only bringing actors into it, like Chuck Murray and Amy Eversole, but she was also, getting with the actors offline of the film, doing rehearsals, going over the part with them, really getting them to understand how she wanted them to play the character. And then when we filmed, the performances were so much better, and we really got the moments that we wanted, I felt, in Avalon Lost. And I could just see that there was a real difference in quality when she did that. And so she was kind of like, well, how about letting me, direct the next film? And I felt like, she had not only, auditioned for that role very, very well, so to speak, but she also came to me and made a very, very logical argument as to why she could do a good job with it. We went with that. I concentrated again on the visual storytelling aspect of it. She worked with the actors and the motivation of the actors. Again, that same crazy effort where she was doing things I didn't even know were going on. And the result is a film that I'm really proud of, and I think that she did a really great job directing.
Thank you. I'm really proud of it too. And, I'm very grateful because, Josh talks about, all these things that I did, but really I was able to do those things because I've been very, very fortunate in having this great network to work within. He mentioned Chuck Murray and Amy Eversole. Both of these are actors that I have worked with in the past as an actor on other projects. In fact, Chuck and I were in the middle of a short film that we were in together when we were in kind of the planning stages for what would be Demons. But at that time, we were still planning to have Tyler Donovan with us. And then we had a huge hiccup in the process, a bump in the road, when it became clear that Tyler was not going to be available to go on with us, and we had to scramble for, what do we do? Plan B. And it just so happened that I had been talking to Chuck about what we were doing, and he had said, well, hey, if there's ever anything that I could get involved in, that sounds like a lot of fun you guys are having. So I feel like Kismet has really worked in our favor on that. And then the same thing with Amy. I was in a play with Amy at the time that we were working on Ghost Ship. And she said, well, if there's ever a chance for me to get involved, I'm a huge, huge Trek fan. I used to watch Star Trek with my dad, and it was a really important thing in our relationship, and I would love to be a part of something like that. So an opportunity came up with Avalon Lost where I could pull her in. On Demons, we have a couple of other new faces. Courtney Jensen, who plays our Vulcan Dr. Tamara, and she is somebody that Josh and I were actually both friends with, and had no idea that she would be so excited to be in a Star Trek film until we were kind of at loose ends trying to figure out who we were going to cast for that character. And so we just put out a public casting call. And we were both thrilled and surprised when Courtney got back to us and said, oh, me, I want to do it. So it's been an incredibly powerful process to have an opportunity to bring all of these people who I admire and respect and love working with together, and to have them trust me to steer the ship, through the asteroid field that is filmmaking.
And I had wanted to be involved with fan films for so long. I mean, I've been watching them ever since YouTube had been a thing in 2005, and finding the very first episodes of Star Trek New Voyages and watching that and going, man, I wish I could be involved with this, but didn't have the time, the money at the time to go out and be a part of it. If you told me back then that here we'd be making a Star Trek fan film series that people would be comparing to New Voyages and Star Trek Continues, I'd have thought you were crazy. So, and then when I watched, Prelude to Axanar, I can't even express what that experience was like. I'm just sitting there going, "This is the most amazing thing I've ever seen." I was like, "Holy moly! This is all of it. This is exactly what it's supposed to be. All of the best versions of Star Trek. Something in there with it." And again, if you told me back then that I'd be involved with Axanar someday, I'd have thought you were nuts. But I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So it's a crazy road. You never know where this kind of stuff is going to take you.
Now, someone asked a little while ago when you started talking. So let me. You've kind of explained it, but give us the elevator pitch on what Avalon Universe is.
Okay. So we've kind of become familiar with the concept of alternate universes throughout the history of Star Trek. You got Mirror Mirror, where they went to the mirror universe where everything was kind of a little bit different. Then you have like the Kelvin universe, which is the J.J. Abrams universe, where all the J.J. Abrams films take place in. You've got this. It really goes back to the that TNG episode, Parallels, where Worf is like jumping from universe to universe and universe, and things keep changing. It's kind of like maybe the universe he's from, but a little different. And that's what the Avalon universe is. And in fact, I've always said that maybe the Avalon universe is one of the universes that Worf visited in that episode. And it's just a little, it's not the Prime universe, it's not the Kelvin universe, it's not the Mirror universe, it's its own thing. From a creative standpoint, our motivation is sort of all Star Treks in one Star Trek. So there you can see influences from every version of Star Trek in it. You've got a little bit of JJ in there. You've got a lot of Prime Universe in there. You've got a little bit of there's some TOS, there's some TNG, vibes. There's even a little bit of Discovery in there, if you know what it is. So, every version of Star Trek is somehow represented there in some small way. Is the creative, drive of what that's supposed to be.
We wanted the freedom to make our own choices, enjoy playing with our own aesthetic without having to be, locked into what anyone else had done before, while still honoring that. But there have been so many people who have recreated TOS. There are a lot of people who see our films and they say, "Oh, well, this isn't correct because," well, our take on it was, well, it's not correct if this were the Prime universe, and that's what we were trying to do. But in our world, in our universe, things went a little differently. So this is how it is here, because that's what we wanted it to be.
And then as we get further down the road telling the stories that come from that universe, and not all of them are going to be with these characters or on this ship, but as we get further down the road telling the story, we'll explain a little bit what the actual divergence is from the Prime universe and why it happened. So there will be, as you get down the road with it, more of an explanation of what's going on here, especially in a film that will probably come out late next year.
Well, listen, we've talked a lot about the Star Trek multiverse, and I think it is something. This is, my biggest beef with Discovery was they should have just said, "This is an alternate universe." This is, and everyone would have been accepting of it. It just wouldn't be that big a deal. We're all used to alternate universes. JJ's 3 Star Trek films are alternate universe. I mean, they're very upfront about that. There's no, you accept it right off the bat when they tell you about it. It's like, oh, okay, different universe. But Kurtzman trying to get us to believe that this was the same universe that TOS happened in, it doesn't work for me. And I think it was the biggest issue for a lot of fans that just were not buying it. And as you so aptly proved, I mean, why not? I mean, I love seeing JJ uniforms on a TOS bridge. I think that's awesome. And the Beyond uniforms look great. They really look good.
You know what's interesting about that to me is that, okay, so you take the Beyond uniform, which in a way there's a TOS influence on it and a TNG influence on it in the design. And then you put that Discovery metal delta on it, and then it gives even more of a TNG vibe to it. Mm-hmm. So you've got like multiple influences. Like the best example of what I'm talking about is the Vulcan Doctor's outfit. Mm-hmm. So she's got the blue, the blue dress, which is, the blue comes from the TOS and all the other iterations. But then she's got this jacket, kind of like Dr. Crusher. She's wearing like a lab coat, but it's white. And in Discovery, the medical teams are white. And then she's got the, metal delta with the cross on it, the, medical cross. And, but she's wearing a dress, but it's kind of like a Dr. Pulaski setup where she's like got pants under it, and so it's almost like she's got every doctor's outfit in one outfit. That's the best example I can think of is just kind of like all Star Trek and one Star Trek.
And I worked hard for that outfit too. I went to I think 14 different medical supply chain stores trying to find a lab coat that I liked.
Oh wow! Really? That's good custom work.
Yeah. You have to sometimes get a little creative when you have an idea in your head. And you're like, I know what I want. I just don't know where to find it. And it takes a lot of legwork and a lot of asking around. And that jacket I am very, very protective of. Jonathan actually asked if we could use it for Interlude, and I said absolutely not, because it is literally one of a kind. I found it in, like I said, like the 14th or so medical supply store that I went to, and it was on clearance, and it was the only one. So it's locked in a vault when I'm not using it for this film.
Some other things we did, like if you'll notice, like for example, if you look on a bridge, which I'll point out, and this is fascinating. The bridge that we shoot on at Warp 66 Studios, it was reassembled by Dan Reynolds and Glenn Wolfe. But it's the Star Trek New Voyages bridge. It was every episode of Star Trek New Voyages was shot on that bridge. Now, Ghost Ship is the Continues bridge. And then there was one shot in Ghost Ship that was on the Exeter bridge. Mm-hmm. And then we're shooting now on the New Voyages bridge. So there's like all of this fan film history on the bridges, but the thing that was neat about that, because it's so close, Dan and Glenn worked with us to modify it to make it look a little different for Avalon Universe. So, I went through a lot of work of creating new LCARs and plexis and displays, and then, when I got them out there, Dan helped me set them up and size them to the screens and get them all going and that kind of stuff. And it changed the look a whole lot, and we lit it differently. That's an interesting thing that we're doing. I really, as a cinematographer, really did an in-depth study of how Star Trek has been shot. And I mean all Star Trek, not just TOS, but Deep Space Nine, TNG, Voyager, Enterprise. What we're kind of doing now is, you're doing some classical TOS techniques, but you're doing it with modern instruments and modern cameras. And it's become this TOS meets Arrowverse look that I'm doing. and then we're shooting it in CinemaScope. Just...
And explains what CinemaScope is for the audience, because a lot of fans don't know.
It's like, you have very, different aspect ratios, like your old 4:3, cathode ray.
And just...
Explain it to laymen who don't know what any of that stuff means.
So you'll have various different what we call aspect ratios. If you go back to your old TV that you had prior to 2010 or whatever, it was the square box cathode ray tube, which is what they showed the original Star Trek on, was the old box TV. And CinemaScope is a thing where even as far back as the 50s and 60s, when you had these square TVs coming out, originally movies were kind of a square format, and they wanted to offer something that was a little more interesting than that. So they started making them like wide, like it was like this race to make, you could make something wider, so you'd have like wide, and then you had like CinemaScope, and you had this division.
Cinerama.
So it's like really, really wide, It's a really, really wide format. And we're shooting in 5.7K RAW, so it's like a really high resolution, higher than, high definition. And so it's technology that's so far past even what they were using in the original series that you have to like use certain techniques. There's like too much detail on the set and stuff. You got to kind of blur it out, or you got to do the lighting just right and the makeup just right. You see too much detail. You know what I mean?
If you're seeing, in a magnifying mirror, if you've ever looked at yourself in one of those, and suddenly it's like, oh wow, you see every pore, every eyebrow hair, like every wrinkle, everything.
And that's why, I mean, out in LA, the thing was that HD drove the porn industry crazy, because all the girls were like, oh my God, that's too much detail. So, but it's also helped drive the makeup industry, of course. So aspect ratio is basically, are you a square, which would be 1:1, or the TVs you were talking about were 4:5,
4:3,
or a wider aspect ratio, which
like with your TV today, which is like a 16:9.
Right.
And then the cinemascope is way wider than that.
Yeah. And so that's why when they converted movies to your video, for example, if there was one done in CinemaScope or any of the wide formats, you would have black bars on the
Right.
top and bottom, because that's they shrunk it down so it could fit, and the aspect ratio would change. Or, heaven forbid, they did pan and scan, which was they just went back and forth on which is a nightmare. So,
which is how they, coincidentally, how they did visual effects on Next Generation is like, say you had to have a deal where Picard was going to walk across the screen and talk to somebody on a view screen and they want to do a visual effect. They couldn't track it back in those days. So what they would do is they would shoot it in CinemaScope, and then they would composite the effect and then pan and scan when they put it to TV resolution. So they actually used that for visual effects back when they were doing TNG in the 80s.
Interesting. Very, very cool. So now, tell us about Interlude. How did you get involved with Interlude?
Well, how we got involved with Interlude is our friend Jonathan Lane got a hold of me after Ghost Ship had come out. He really, really, he's wanted to do a fan film for a long time. He's been involved with fan films for, a very long time. You can see him on a fan film that's about 20 years old if you really look for him. But
Josh has a link. He'll be happy to supply.
I have a link if you want to see it. But he's been writing his blog about fan films for forever. I was, when I first became like really interested in fan films, I was following them, and I followed Axanar and all the other ones. I found his, he called it like Project Small Access back then.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of like Fan Film Factor and Fan Film Forum, and I always like watched what they were doing, which is how I actually made my foray into fan films, is because I would stay on Fan Film Forum and see all the new projects that were coming out. I'd follow all of them, not just like continues or something. And there was this one dude who was just posting constantly, like every day. And it was like the guy you'd least expect to be making fan films, Vance Major. And I was like, this guy is so aggressive. He like posts all the time, and he's like, posting like screenshots from his films. And I was like, man, this dude doesn't let anything stop him from making fan films. And it was kind of like really inspirational to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because part of the reason I'd never done it in the past was because I was always afraid that I wouldn't be able to do it well. That it wouldn't be a high quality fan film. I'd embarrass myself or something. Oh, Vance doesn't let that stop him. And so like, I started like commenting on a lot of the things that he shared, watching his films, and he just sort of like messaged me and was like, hey, thanks for, watching my film, and he friend requested me, and we started talking on the phone, and he was like, you really should just make your own film, there's ways you could do it. And he talked me through, you could go do this, go do that, and before we knew it, we were doing Ghost Ship, Ghost Ship, like I didn't know what to expect when we released it, and then suddenly it's getting 10,000 views a day for 2 solid weeks.
I don't think any of us had any idea what we were getting into. When Josh came to me and asked me if I wanted to be involved, it was literally, so hey, you want just for fun, like maybe do like a Star Trek fan film, or like is that way too nerdy for you? And then I think I scared him a little bit with how absolutely into it I was. And it was just supposed to be this like fun, silly thing that we were going to do, just some friends getting together and going and making a fan film for fun because we liked Star Trek and thought it would be neat.
And then we had this crazy successful fan film, and we did a phone interview with Jonathan about it. And then a few days later, he was just like, "Hey man, I'd really like to make a fan film." And I commented like how beautiful I thought the Ares Bridge was, and he was like, "If you'd like to make a fan film on that bridge, I've got this script that I wrote, and I'd really like you to be involved." And then sort of, he talked to us on the phone about Avalon Lost, and then he asked if she wanted to be involved as well, and she decided to come on board and help us out. And it just became that natural tag team thing we do, where I become the visual storyteller and she works with the actors. And I can't. I feel like for all of the experiences we've had over the past year and a half, the filming of Interlude was like one of the best experiences we ever had working together. Like it was 2 really great days of shooting, and I can't overstate how glad I am that she was there because, and you too. She took the time to work with you that morning that we filmed, and kind of get you ready for the shoot. And I had so much going on with doing what I do, and like one of the actors we had was a really cool guy named Warren Hawk, and we cast him, about a week before the shoot, and I remember him just being like, just going crazy about how much he loves Captain Sisko and how much he loves Avery Brooks, and he got real excited because he wanted that to be his tribute to Avery Brooks. And he came onto the set and he was like so excited about it that he was a bit nervous because he really psyched himself out. And she did like a wonderful job of just taking him and calming him down, and then brought him out, and boom, it was money, what the performance that he put out. It was just, we have this term in film where you make your day. You have like a big schedule of what you have to get done in a day. And it's actually pretty common to not really make your day, where you don't get everything done, or you go over time, or you shoot longer than you thought you would.
You cut some shots here and there, or you push something off the next day.
And that's not what happened on Interlude. When we got there, we made both days like an hour and a half early. And then
we got bonus shots.
We got bonus shots, and we made both days early, doing all the things we wanted to do. So we got all of the stuff that like the would be nice, stuff, and then we were just making junk up because it was such a well-oiled machine. One, because we had really gotten in sync with how we work, which was really helpful.
We did a lot of prep work.
We did a lot of prep work, which Jonathan did a lot for that. He really helped us out on the prep work. He wanted the film bad, and he put the effort into helping us out, getting everything ready. And then, we get there on the day, and Alec Peters has all of these awesome people.
I was going to say, prep work that was not done for our film, but that we still benefited immensely from, which is everything that, Alec has built down there. You've put together this incredible group of people who are enthusiastic volunteers and skilled craftsmen, and
they knew what they were doing.
For us to be able to walk into a situation where it wasn't just us wearing all the hats all the time, that was a really big part of why we made the day, aside from just us working well together, is that we were able to go in there with guys like Dana and the Scotts and Paul and Karen and Steven handling wardrobe, and we had a fantastic hair and makeup team, and just to have all those pieces, and then to have our other Josh Wilcox, our first AD, really helping me run the show and keeping the train on the tracks, it makes a world of difference when I'm not the one having to run around going, okay, is this actor done with their makeup? Or oh, hey, we need to get you in this wardrobe. All of those pieces coming together, that we were able to just walk in and have that support was unbelievably helpful.
I was able to look at, your Axanar shoot had happened a couple of weeks earlier, and I was looking at, what had been done, these really cool airy sky panels, which were like the coolest lights ever, were being used, and then these like really neat crane devices that were booming them over the bridge, and it was like a really awesome lighting setup that we simply could not afford to replicate. And so I had to devise a solution that would give us what we needed, but not cost the same. So I had the advantage that I was able to get on the phone with Dana and just say, hey, if I do this, if I'm able to clamp this to the top of the set or whatever,
is this an option?
Is this an option? And he's like, totally. And he worked with me to get all that stuff set up. The rest of the guys, the Scots, man, they went out of their way. There was one particular shot that I really, really wanted to do on day 2, and for a minute there, I thought there was no way that we could pull it off. And those guys got to work, and they figured out a solution, and they made it happen. And I can't even describe how happy it made me to do it.
There's a little behind-the-scenes clip that I don't think has been shown anywhere yet. That I feel like really kind of sums up a lot of what was really cool about going down there to work, which is that we had this really complicated shot that we really, really wanted. Josh wanted it from a camera perspective. I wanted it from a pacing perspective of having the extras moving through the bridge and all these things. And so we needed the turbo lift doors to open and close, and we needed lights to flicker, and we needed this to happen and that to happen, and all of these moving pieces had to happen at the same time, which meant we had to have so many sets of hands working just to get one shot. And we pulled it off because we had such a great team, including surprise guest Paul Jenkins, who shows up and says, oh yeah, I'll wiggle some lights backstage. Sure, that's what you need. Whatever you guys need to have happen to help you get the shot you want, I'm here for you.
That was so fun because, we're setting up this shot, and the guys are like, so do you want the panels to flicker? And I'm like, can you do that? That a thing you can do? And we had done it before, like we did it on Avalon Lost. Glenn Wolfe was able to make it happen with the help of her boyfriend, who's a Hollywood gaffer. But, I didn't know that we could do it on the Aries Bridge, and they demonstrated it for us, and I was like, yes.
And we fell in love.
Yes. And I didn't find out until after we did the shot that it was Paul back there, Paul Jenkins back there doing it. And he had himself a good time, and it showed.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I want to just take a moment here and thank a new viewer whose his screen name is Another Skywalker, who just gave us a $99.99 super chat, which is fantastic. Wow. That is phenomenally generous. Thank you so much. So welcome to the family. We're glad to have you. Please, he even asked for our Patreon information. So thank you. We look forward to having you as a part of the Axanar and the Aries Studios family. So thank you very much. Listen, it's great working because we have a great team of volunteers, and they do awesome work, and they're always there for us, and they'll be there this weekend as well, which is we're already prepping for that, which is Saturday. It's some pickup shots and some there's a scene we're shooting with Garth in his quarters looking over the casualty reports. There's one scene Paul wants of Garth on the bridge. There's another scene for a totally different production we're shooting that Paul is directing Crystal Hubbard, my girlfriend, in. And then Sunday we have some behind the scenes shots in the morning, and then we have panels in the afternoon that we're going to be live streaming. So this week we're going to be talking a lot about that, and it's all good.
While we're there, right? Too, we're gonna do some interlude while we're down there.
Yes, yes. We're gonna have to. You and I need to talk because this is getting a very crowded weekend.
Yeah, and we're shooting some stuff for interlude this coming Sunday. So here in Arkansas.
Okay.
Your friend Steve Jepson is coming down to play Admiral Slater.
Great.
And we're going to shoot him against our green screen, and we got some fun stuff planned for that. And we've got a really great scene that we're shooting in January. So, we are.
And where's that scene in January?
Do what?
Where's the scene in January?
We're going to be out at Warp 66 with Glenn Wolfe in his sick bay set that he's fixing up for us.
Gotcha.
That's going to feature another just staple of fan films, David Butler Agransonis, who is our friend and karate master,
our friend and kind of our hero, and
yeah. So we really wanted him to come and play in the sandbox with him, and he's coming down from Cleveland to be in the scene, and we couldn't be more excited. Victoria always mentions that there are things in film that you see and things in film that you don't see that make it happen. And there are a lot of things that you don't see that make a film what it is. There's the things like she does where she really works with the actors and gets them prepared for the scenes, or the casting that's done, or all of the talking about what if we do this versus what if we do that, figuring out the logistics. And then there's other people that you never know about that make it happen. You're talking about guys like Dana, like Scott Good, like Scott Little, just all the people that work on something to make it happen. It's guys who are supportive, like a Trey McElwain, who he's your fan and he gets the word out on things, and he shows up and he plays a part.
He's just such a great energy to have on set. They were so great to work with just because you just enjoyed having them on set, having them be part of the team. There was no, stress in dealing with them, and that's always a huge thing because filmmaking, a lot of people don't realize, is hard. It is work. It's not just fun party time, and then you get to be famous on the internet. It is a lot.
Suffer for it.
It's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that go into it that a lot of people never see or think about.
There were days on shooting Demons where I thought I was going to die, literally, because we go so long on our shoots, and I started developing these headaches because I was getting so little sleep from doing it. Of course, and I was the least of that because Chuck Murray got Lyme disease in the middle of the shoot.
Oh my gosh.
She got Lyme disease.
And then I got Lyme disease.
And so we had two people with Lyme disease.
How's everyone getting Lyme disease?
Well, Chuck got it because PSA. If you're a man, yes, it's very easy to just go pee in the woods, but use bug spray. I got it on a completely separate shoot in Oklahoma where we were out tromping through the woods under a lot of overhanging trees, and I did use bug spray very religiously, and it just still wasn't enough. I got one on me that I didn't find until much later, and that's all it takes. It's just one. So.
But there are so many people that make contributions that you never see in fan films, but you couldn't make the film without. Dan Reynolds, Glenn Wolfe, those kind of guys, man. The hospitality that they showed us shooting on their sets and the patience, is unbelievable. And Glenn built a set for Demons that didn't exist, that we didn't have.
And he didn't need it. And we just said, hey, we had a scene that was supposed to take place in quarters, but we're going to try and rewrite that, because now we're moving from neutral zone up to 166. He said, well, if you need a quarters, I can just build you a quarters.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want? And so he did. He built us.
It was really
built
good.
us a set just for me to fight a Klingon in. There are a lot of things we would never have been able to do at any other studio. That when we say well, we're trying to figure out how to make this work, and Glenn just says, well, yeah, I can make that work.
And then, there are things like, for example, Chuck Murray. He plays Captain Ramirez in Avalon Universe, but that's not all he did. He made 2 Klingon knives, a stunt knife and a hero knife that were, on screen, working on screen. And he asked me to send him a photo of what the knife looked like, and I showed him some stuff. And he just went and got some metal and made a knife from scratch with all the moving parts and everything. Chuck also helped with the choreographing of the fight scene. He helped me edit the film. He helped me with some of the graphics. And he did like a couple of other things, like he helped me fix a YouTube problem when we got it posted on YouTube.
Yeah, because Chuck is our resident YouTube expert, because he has a really cool thing. I'm gonna just shamelessly plug Chuck and the cool stuff that he does. He has a YouTube channel called Zombie Go Boom, where he and a couple of other cool guys that we also love and work with test weapons to see how they would fare
in the zombie
apocalypse. And it's a really good time. It's really fun, and they've done all sorts of weapons. We did an episode where we actually borrowed a bat'leth from the incredible Glenn Wolfe, and we gave it to Chuck and Charles, and they
killed a ballistically accurate zombie with it, cut its head off, and the bat'leth sword got the Overkill seal of destruction. But you can check it out on YouTube, ZGB Studios.
Yeah.
And then, with part of our Klingon knife fight hand-to-hand scene with Victoria, I love pointing this out. The stuntman who she fought, that played the Klingon in that scene and fought her, is a real-life cage fighter who could murder all of us. He's my MMA coach.
In addition to everything else, you have time to be coached in MMA.
Oh, it's my favorite thing in the world, and she knows it.
It's what I would say. It's not that he has time to do that with everything else. It's that he has to do that in order to maintain his sanity to do everything else. That's his stress relief.
My stress relief is to go simulate murder with my friends in a padded room.
Yeah.
Well, very good. What's the future hold for Avalon Universe?
A lot of stuff.
Wow. So we've got another kind of bonus film that we've been talking about that we hope to have out in a couple of months. We've already filmed some of it. And we've got 2 more shooting days to knock out with it. And then, a few weeks to edit. Another little bonus thing that's going to go along with that, because we just brought on board our friend Lee Pfeiffer as an executive producer. Lee's a wild man, and he loves life, and he loves filmmaking, and he and I had a lot of fun on the set a couple of days ago. And so we're going to have a couple of, really, really short vignette type films that are 5 minutes or less, that are in a lot of ways kind of like the Discovery short treks, in that they're, characters that aren't focused on as much.
Further glimpse into
some really quick, easy to shoot, but still tell an interesting and fun story that, fill the gap between the big projects. And then we do have a very, very big project that we're going to hopefully crowdfund here about the same time we release the bonus film that we hope to make. We hope to film it in about March or early April of next year, and then have it done, by the end of the summer. That's going to be the film that really explains what Avalon Universe is, its place in the Star Trek multiverse, and how it relates to the other canon universes that we've seen. And there may be some cross-contact between our Avalon Universe characters and their doppelgangers from those other canon universes. And it's going to be really neat. It's a really neat concept. And it has a really cool name that I'm not going to reveal, but look for it because it's epic. and then after that, we're going to have...
Oh, and one more thing about that, too. I'm not going to go into detail because spoilers, but we have gotten a lot of questions / accusations about the high mortality rate in the Avalon universe. universe, and our tendency to murder some of our main characters. Well, if there are some of those people that you're missing terribly, you may get a chance to see a glimpse of some of those people coming back in a way that is probably not anything you would expect them to look or be like.
Yep. Yep. We've watched way too much Rick and Morty.
Very cool. All right. Well, let's go through some more of the viewer comments here, because boy, it's been an interesting evening. First of all, another Skywalker signed up on our Patreon, and just we're over 2,600 for the first time ever. So thank you, sir. You are a gentleman and a scholar and a breeder of fine horses. We appreciate it immensely. Let's see. I'm just gonna go down. Trey says, never before in my life did I have so much fun being so tired on the interlude set. Yes, it was fun. Trey is actually coming back on Monday to spend 10 days here at Casa Peters, helping me with shipping, with fulfillment for perks, dog fostering, because we're probably going to be fostering another dog. I got contacted last night by the rescue that we fostered Pumpkin Spice for. And they were like, there are these 2 dogs in Polk County, and they're going to be euthanized on Monday. And I'm like, send them over. So one of them is probably getting adopted. So we're probably only going to have to foster one. But he's a really cute black lab mix, so I'm excited about that. I was like, well, perfect. Trey's coming, so he can take care of him. Let's see, what else we got? Hardboiled says, Alec, have you ever thought about playing a fighter pilot? Think you got the look for it. When roles for fighter pilot comes up, I'm probably a little old at this point. Trey says, Alec could play the commander of the fighter pilots like in Top Gun. Yep, Viper. There you go. The Tom Skerritt role. That's what I could play.
Not a bad role.
No, there are worse roles to play than Tom Skerritt in Top Gun. Let's see. Okay, Trey's gushing all over you too, and I'm not going to read that. Dragon Alpha's Tomcat driver. It says Alec looks like a Phantom driver. Really? I'm not that old. And I would probably fly F-18s. I really like that plane. My friend actually flew AV-8Bs for the Marines with the Harrier. And he moved to F-35s and literally almost died. His oxygen gave out in his F-35 when he was flying around Japan. And he just made it back, like, literally. And then he was on disability for like 6 months because of the lack of oxygen. So thank God, that's my good friend Jordan, who I played paintball with years ago. So yeah, so that's a little jet pilot talk for you there. Silver Bullet, Stephen Shuey said, hey Josh, sent you a message on Facebook, so you two guys can chat there. And all right, I'm missing the Swedish zombies reference. But okay.
It's not our first film, so
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, well, listen, great having you two guys on. Thanks for coming out on this Black Friday. You guys have a shoot this weekend, and then Josh will be seeing you next weekend. You get in Friday night along with Stogie, I think. So Trey will be coming to the airport to collect all you guys, and probably stop by Chick-fil-A on the way home or something, or the Varsity.
One quick note, Alec, is you'd asked about the future of Avalon Universe. Here's a neat thing. Our next film is going to have, our bonus film is going to have a couple of neat Easter eggs in it. Sam Cockings, of course, does our visual effects.
Sam's great.
And look for a unique Avalon Universe D7 battle cruiser and a Avalon Universe version of the Ares class.
All right. There we go. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, that's it. I want to thank everyone tonight. I especially want to thank another Skywalker for his generosity. It's been awesome. I want to thank all our usual fans. Of course, Trey McWayne. If you do not subscribe to Axanar Comics on YouTube, why the hell not? Get over there, subscribe to Trey's channel because it's awesome. And Trey does a lot of live streaming, and you'll find out all about Axanar Comics, which is another fan product from a fan film called Axanar. Thanks to the Old Cold, thank you. Adega Elor, we continue to send our best out to you. Stephen Shuey, Silver Bullet, Paul, Val, the usual gang. Thank you so much for being here on your Friday night. We're going to try and do a special Thanksgiving weekend live stream Sunday night. It may be a little earlier than usual to accommodate the European crowd. We'll let you know. What's amazing is we've held steady at like 41, 42 people the entire evening. Hasn't gone down or up. So I guess that's good. It's all our regulars. It's our little fan club here. But thank you, Josh. Thank you, Victoria, from coming from Arkansas. And good luck on the shoot this weekend. I want to say to everyone, as always, we love having you here. Live long and prosper, everyone. Peace be unto you. And we will see you all here, maybe Sunday, but definitely next Friday. All right? Take care, everyone.